Hello there. It's time for Most Things Kenobi. I prefer all things Kenobi, but I suppose that's not the Jedi way. As long as it's not all things Anakin.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Leanne.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
And boy oh boy are we talking Kenobi today. In fact, we're talking Lauren's specialty, Obitine.
I am your resident professor of Obitine lore.
You sure are. You are the encyclopedia.
I walk around with a mortarboard on all day.
You do.
And it says
true,
Obitine across the top. Yeah.
I don't know. If you have been living under a rock and you don't know what Obitine stands for, it means it's the what is it? The coupley joined word of Satine Kryze and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Obitine.
It's the Star Wars version of Bennifer or...
That's what I was trying to remember, except I try not to remember back to like 2004. Or whenever that was.
What was J-Lo and Ben Affleck? But now they're a thing again, so it's okay.
They are.
Yeah.
God, history does repeat itself in the worst of ways.
This is kind of going to dovetail nicely, and I have something to tell you.
Me?
Yes, and it's related
okay.
to Obitine, sort of. It's about James Arnold Taylor. You know, our patron, Rebecca.
Yes.
She was at GalaxyCon, and she met James while she was there, and she mentioned us to him.
She did?
Yes. It was so cool.
My face right now, I'm looking at my reflection. My jaw's on the floor. Rebecca! Oh my God.
I know, I was just like, you are so freaking nice. I just
First
couldn't
of all,
even...
How cool that she got to meet him. And
I know.
Did he do the Obi-Wan voice for her?
Yes, I think he did.
I mean...
One of our other listeners, Ben, he just met him, I think, like yesterday or the day before as well. So
Well, I did stand 5 feet away from Matt Lanter and didn't say anything because he was pushing a baby stroller. So I had my chance and I blew it.
Freaking cowards is why we haven't met anybody. Okay, so she said she went up to him and said hello, and they had established a rapport. And then she said that she was friends with the Most Things Kenobi podcast hosts, which, hell yes, you are, dear. And she said she loved hearing his intros on our show. And he said that it was super fun recording that. That was very sweet. I hope he actually remembers. He probably doesn't, but he was being very gracious.
Does. I gotta believe he does.
Yeah, I think so.
That is so cool.
And she said it would be super cool if he recorded an episode with us. And he said, yes, I would love to do that. I want to do that at some point. Please tell them I want to record with them.
Well, I'm dead. I wasn't expecting any of this. Rebecca, thank you. James Arnold Taylor, thank you. Let's make it happen. We love you.
Seriously. Like, even if he never comes on the show, just the fact that, like, our fans are telling him about us. About him. It's so great.
When we say we have the coolest group of fans, like, we fucking mean that shit.
Yes. Seriously.
And
we're
like, the
so
kindest
lucky.
Group. Damn. Thanks. Thank you. That was cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca. We love you.
We do.
So I just thought that would be a nice way to, like, segue into our Obitine episode.
I mean, honestly, we can't talk about Obitine without giving props to the two voices that brought this actual storyline into existence through the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And James Arnold Taylor, obviously. And Anna Graves, who is so lovely.
Yeah.
Has given some love to us on our Instagram and our Twitter, and she's just so fun. And those two really, really work well together as voice actors, actress, and they make the Obitine thing real.
Yes, I think the fact that those actors have such a good rapport, personally, like in their personal life, is that bleeds over into their performance. They're so like comfortable with each other. It's very obvious that they have good chemistry. You know, it's great.
And the best part is doesn't she also voice a character in a different episode where she kind of has a little bit of a rapport with Obi-Wan?
Yes,
it's the episode with the little turtle-looking people from Fallujah.
Yeah. It's like one of my
teach
favorites.
them how to fight. Yeah, and she's like a bounty hunter. That character.
Yeah, she's Suki. Yeah, the bounty hunter.
Yeah, and they're kind of flirty
they're
in that
very
episode
flirtatious.
too. And it's just like, if you know, you know. Anyway, who doesn't Obi-Wan flirt with? Let's be real.
If Anna Graves is voicing the character, he's probably gonna flirt with her.
Yeah, he's probably. Well, they're just amazing together. Really, truly, what a duo. Obi-Wan and Satine are a big deal in the fandom.
Yeah, it was unexpected big deal, I think. At least for me. I don't know about you, but I was really surprised that they even gave him a love interest in his backstory at all.
Well, I distinctly remember watching the arc where all of this happens and like Satine is revealed and the relationship that they had and the past that they had was revealed. And I remember going, excuse me, what?
Yeah, same.
Like, it kind of changes how you think of the old Ben Kenobi from the original trilogy. He's got a past.
It kind of changes everything. It puts everything in like even Ewan McGregor's performance is then a new lens focused on it because
very true.
It's just, I don't know. I really wasn't expecting it because the character is all like in Clone Wars. He was very uptight in a sense, like always the level-headed, like always being like Anakin kind of character, which of course he still is in these episodes, but doesn't matter.
To the day he dies, basically.
But in the very first intro of the first Mandalore arc episode in season 2, they said that Obi-Wan is reunited with an old friend, and then they show the Duchess of Mandalore, and I was like, is this gonna be a love story? I was really not expecting it.
It's really so okay. Let me just be honest for like 5 seconds. Well, I'm more honest than that in every episode, but just I'm gonna be real. And Lauren knows this, but I don't know if every listener knows this. But I have never really been a huge fan of the character of Satine, but I am a fan of Obi-Wan having a past that's a little more conflicting with a love interest and of course it added to his loss. And of course, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this part of the Clone Wars, we will be talking about things that happen. Turn away now. But, you know, it adds to the amount of loss that Obi-Wan experiences over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I like all of that. It's just, she comes off very strong to me. And I was very turned off at first. Like, I thought she was very standoffish. And Obi-Wan is much more warm to her. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of get into it more and you read a little bit more and you kind of do a character study and you and I talk about, you know, the details of all this. And I read your fic and it just adds so much more to everything. And go read it if you haven't, The Jedi and His Duchess.
Thank you.
You're
Shameless
welcome.
plug.
Well, it's really good and it stays true to the story. But like, she was always very, very cold to me. And I always thought Obi-Wan deserved a little more warmth, but it's more than that once you realize what these two have been through.
Right. I completely agree. I didn't like her at first. And not because there's some like jealous, like, Obi-Wan can't have a girlfriend.
Oh, no. I think it's great that they gave him that.
I do too. It makes him more dimensional. Not that having a love interest makes you more interesting. It's more that like it was unexpected for that character because he didn't seem to like, he seemed very set in the code, right? Mm-hmm. And so the thing I kind of made my own headcanon about, which is kind of extrapolated in this story a bit, is he became that way after what he and Satine had been through. That maybe like the very fact that he had like feelings for another person and it didn't go well is maybe the reason he's like, nope, the code, always the code. I can't get hurt if I stick to the code, which is...
Yeah, he like shut a door permanently because if you don't, look what happens. You end up risking what Anakin and Padme had happen.
Exactly.
And so he's watching, after you see this relationship he has with Satine, you're watching it through the eyes of, like, he knows what's going on with Anakin and Padme, right? So he can't say anything, or he should say something, but it would make him a hypocrite. There's all these angles to it that make it so much more difficult on how he would approach the subject with Anakin.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, some people have said that maybe he's, like, do you remember there's that scene in one of the later Clone Wars seasons where Obi-Wan goes to Anakin's room and says, it's not that we don't have these feelings, they're natural, but we're not supposed to act on them because it can, like, interfere with our duty. I forgot what I was gonna say.
well, you could use old, what's his name, Owens, like you did his father or something, but it's like you did with Satine. Like,
thank you. That's actually what I was gonna say. You helped my brain. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As maybe he's trying to prevent him from making the same mistakes that he made. You know, and like protect him. That's one way to read it. I'm not saying that that's accurate or anything. It's just one way to kind of like read that scene. I didn't really like her that much either. I thought she was really brazen and kind of illogical at moments.
Yeah, but she had a lot of good points. The hypocritical point of the Jedi, right? We all know that they're supposed to be peacekeepers, and yet they're fighting in a war with a bunch of clones that were made specifically to kill, and the whole thing is fucked up beyond recognition.
Yeah.
And she points it out, and it's very hard for any Jedi to see that because they have to believe they're doing something good, right? Or else it's all a lie.
Yes.
So I like that Satine was a tool to kind of remind Obi-Wan, like, hey, it's not all rainbows and unicorns and stars and what am I saying? Like, it's not all... the Jedi aren't all the sparkliness that you think they are, you know?
Yeah, I mean, she says, like, what an amusing contradiction, and then asks if changing their beliefs is a matter of political convenience. You know, like, you just kind of blow in the breeze with whatever's popular at the moment. I do love that she points that out really blatantly. She doesn't pull her punches. She's like, you're being a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
And since she knew Obi-Wan when he was younger, she would have seen... you are different. Like, you have deviated from what you had originally said the Jedi were all about.
Yeah.
Sometimes her pacifism is quite irritating.
Very. But she's trying to be the best leader that she can for her people that she promised. So I like that, okay, so we love strong female characters on this show, if you haven't noticed. And she is a strong, intelligent, very smart, savvy woman.
Yes.
But I think there comes a risk when you're so, like, involved in this vision that you block out everything else. And I think I'm not saying just Satine. I'm saying anyone in a position of, like, must do vision, must succeed in personal goal, that you block out, you have, like, blinders on.
She even says as much, right? Like, she says, a multitude makes discord, which means, like, too many opinions creates fighting. I don't want too many opinions. And Obi-Wan says, like, she's only interested in her own opinion. Like, how is that good leadership? But
so they're throwing truth darts at each other constantly.
Yes.
Which, my favorite part of this whole arc is Anakin, for once, just sitting back and watching the shit show, and it's not him. For once, it's not him. The conversation that him and Obi-Wan have, like, Obi-Wan's had it. He walks in that room first. Anakin's trailing behind. It's usually the other way around. Yeah. Obi-Wan is very exasperated. He sits down in that chair like, I'm tired. I'm over it. I can't think anymore. I don't want to talk anymore. And Anakin just kind of gently, like, so what's the story, basically?
Yeah.
I love the flip. Like, I thought they did a really good job, like, kind of turning the roles there.
It's that moment where Obi-Wan says... Anakin says first, Master Yoda says, we mustn't form attachments.
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan does what Anakin normally does, is like,
yes,
of course, but he also leaves out the undercurrent of remorse, you know?
Yeah. It's just funny having Obi-Wan be in the shoes of he who he's always instructing and looking after. And the look they give each other, and, you know, when Anakin leaves him in the elevator.
Oh my God, that is one of my favorite moments. When he says, like, were you and Satine ever...
Anakin, like.
I don't see
And
how
that
that has
look.
any bearing on the situation at hand.
It's the look he gives them, and this is animated,
It's so good.
and that look speaks volumes.
It's so
It's
funny.
so good.
Because it's like a little bit angry, but then also kind of like, he's right. Shit, he can tell.
Yeah, like sheepish and angry, and don't you dare say anything else. Like,
Yes.
don't go there.
And then he says, go find your girlfriend. And he's like,
Yeah, and
right.
then leaves
Oh,
them. Like,
she's
like
not
one
my
little
girl.
last. Yes, she is.
Yeah, don't lie.
And you have a son together, but that's in a different episode.
Yes, that's like one of our first couple episodes of that.
Yeah, we had to cross that bridge first, but yeah.
Everything about it is so entertaining, honestly. I just watched like a cast reunion that was actually recent. It was like a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
Anna Graves was saying that's one of her favorite. James and her, they agree that it's kind of like their favorite episodes, and she particularly likes the verbal sparring that they had
Yes.
in that.
Well,
and I totally agree.
They do it so flawlessly. It's so believable, and it's so effortless. You know, I always ask, like, I wonder how many takes it took. I envision it taking just 1 or 2 takes with those two.
Probably, yes. They're
Just
such
because they're so
pros.
delightful. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I found some facts about all of this. Like,
Ooh.
I
I like
just,
facts.
because I like coming in with a few, like, did you know?
Yes, please hit me.
The ship that Satine and Obi-Wan and Anakin and them take to go to the Senate, right, to Coruscant, is called the Coronet.
Yeah,
Or the
yes.
Coronet.
Coronet, which I
Coronet.
like. I had a moment at celebration.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, someone was trying to remember it when I was attending that podcast panel. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What was that ship with the? And I was like, the
Yeah.
Coronet.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what that means? It's a tiny crown.
Oh, that kind of coronet.
Yes.
I like it.
Which is interesting because she wears kind of a tiny crown, symbolically, if you will, of Mandalore and the history of Mandalore. And she is the leader of the free worlds, of the pacifist worlds, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was apt.
I like
I like-
that. That's very nice.
I like stuff like that.
That kind of stuff is not a mistake, especially in a
No,
show
no, no.
like this. This is always
Yeah.
it's very premeditated. They did that on purpose.
Yeah. And the more ironic fact is, you know how we were talking in our Not a Kid Show episode about there's the, suicide that takes place?
Yes, the political suicide episode. What is that? Our episode 2.
Yeah, Not a Kid Show. Clone Wars is not a kid show. We had to get that off our chest real fast.
Yeah.
Do you know what the name of that park is called?
I don't.
Peace Park.
Oh,
Also not a mistake, I'm guessing.
yeah, that's a no.
A little ironic. Anyway.
It's not political suicide park?
No. It became Political Suicide Park.
Yes.
I just like when names mean something, even if it's ironic in
Yes.
the case of the Peace Park.
I like that too, and Star Wars is classic for doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So is well, I guess I don't know if the shrine is in Peace Park, but it's all about the Civil War, the Mandalorian
Correct.
Civil War, which is, like you said, is where Obi-Wan and Satine met.
Mm-hmm.
But in canon, we don't really know that much about it. They have not talked about what the extent of their background really is.
Well, we can surmise that something romantic happened based on how just in deep they are. Because we wouldn't know this if we don't get to the point where Satine is literally being taken off the ship. She thinks she's going to die. And she tells Obi-Wan she loves him. Okay,
Yeah.
that doesn't just come out of nowhere. And he's completely unfazed by it because his response is, I would have left the Jedi Order had you said the word. Okay, so there's like a thing there. This is not just some flippant, we used to know each other and had a crush or something. This runs way deeper, way deeper.
Yeah, because by the time he and Satine met, they would have been, I think they were in their early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty established in the Jedi, long enough for him to have, for that to be a big deal, for him to decide, well, I would leave if she asked me to.
Mm-hmm. It's a precarious age, too.
Yes, very much so.
You're kind of old enough to know, like, okay, so being a Jedi is essentially his job, right? He knows the ins and outs of it. but he's also young enough to be able to fall in love and give his heart to someone and have like that youthful, I'm in love, you know, and to then still choose the Jedi or what. See, we don't know what happened.
Right. We don't know if that was the case.
We don't know. Was it forced? Was it chosen? Did he shut that wall like we said? I mean, he had to, but what was the catalyst to that? That's all the stuff that makes your fanfic great.
Well, I do like, I get confused sometimes now where I'm just like, did I write that or was that actually?
Isn't that funny?
It's really funny.
Like, I do that with the stories that I've written. I can't remember if I made it up or if I researched it to write it or if it's actual canon. Like,
yes, exactly. So we don't know anything canon-wise of their actual past. We know they had a connection.
Right.
We're not even sure how deep that connection was, how serious. Everything is surmised. Like, everything we can talk about that's not in the actual Clone Wars episodes, it's all just a guess.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have asked, do you think they continued either, one, having a relationship during the Clone Wars, or two, at least having an active friendship where they started talking again?
No, to both.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't think they had an active relationship. I do think they talked, though, because there was a line. I don't remember what the episode is called, but it's the one where Padme goes to Mandalore.
Yeah.
And
yes.
she and Satine are like detectives. I don't know.
The girlfriends get together for some rosé and some political talk.
And end up solving a crime.
Yes. All in a weekend's work. Like.
Yeah, right, exactly. Uncovering a major corruption scheme. No big deal. But Satine says to Padme, Master Kenobi told me you're very adventurous.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. They would have to, like, be talking about Anakin and Padme.
Right? Like, how did that come up in conversation?
That's a really good point I didn't consider.
The only non-romantic explanation I can come up with is maybe he was explaining where Anakin came from, and that was also when he met Padme at the same time, so maybe that was the explanation. But I like to think that they're just calming each other in the middle of the night, hiding under their blankets, being like, hey.
Aww. That's actually kind of cute. I don't see that happening, but
I don't
wish
really
it
either,
would.
But, yeah.
think Obi-Wan just shut the chastity gate on that one.
Chastity
and ran.
Gate.
Yeah. Once he got a taste, he had to get out of there because it was donezo after that. So
danger. Your chastity is in danger.
I think his chastity was taken by her. That's my thing. But
I do too. Yes,
I think that proves how much he really loved her. And if he was going to be a Jedi, he had to shut it off. And she remained respectful of that. But also, I'm not speaking for all women, but I would be a little bitter.
Oh, I would be bitter. Well, depending on the circumstances.
Right, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We need more.
If he actively chose the Jedi over her,
correct.
Yes, bitter.
Yeah.
And all of her anger and sass and like edginess towards him makes perfect sense then.
Yeah. We always talk about how much we respect Obi-Wan for just his perseverance through all of this, right? So he found love and carried on anyways, and then was faced with her possibly dying and then actually dying.
Yeah.
And still carrying on through all of this. I think Satine will always respect him even at the loss of not being able to be with him. They're two individuals who are very strongly involved in what they believe in.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and it takes more than love. It takes timing and circumstance and all these things to make it work. And so you can still have a love for someone and still be, obligated to something completely external and it can't work.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. And I think that that's why romantic comedies do a disservice to people, because they kind of give you this idea that love is...
Oh, you can just walk away from it all and
Yeah.
all you need is love. All you need is love. Speaking of Ewan and a Satine.
Oh my God, just kill me now. It's so fucking painful.
Because everyone out there knows, right, that Satine, the name of Satine Kryze was taken from Satine in Moulin Rouge, in which Ewan McGregor plays the love interest and loses her.
Is that official?
Yeah, it was on the Wikipedia page.
Oh, very nice. I've always wondered if that was like a real, like, official thing, and I like that it is.
It's on Wikipedia, so...
I take Wikipedia as a Star Wars Bible, so there we go.
You got it. You got it. So, anyway...
What were we talking about?
I have no idea. I started singing, so it all ended after
I
that.
love it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, love, comedies.
Like right off the track.
Yeah, rom-coms.
Yes. Like, and that's why I love Obi-Wan and Satine, because Anakin and Padme are the romantic, they're the Romeo and Juliet. I know a lot of people say that it's Obi-Wan and Satine, and I don't think that. As a person who studied Shakespeare and all that shit, I would say it's Anakin and Padme are Romeo and Juliet. Very tragic.
Literal star-crossed lovers.
Yes. Forbidden love.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Satine are different because they love each other. James Arnold Taylor confirmed that he believes Obi-Wan loved Satine, no question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But they chose duty.
Yes.
And that didn't hurt them. They understood that about each other. Mm-hmm. The tragedy comes from their strengths being used against them to try to destroy each other.
And it's great storytelling.
It is.
It's great storytelling. And the beauty of it is, no, we don't have all the details, but look at how impactful this Obitine thing has become, because it leaves so many more doors open for us, the fans, to add to the story or surmise or headcanon or do whatever we want to do, write great stories and put them on AO3. You know, I'm going to keep doing it. But still,
thank you.
We have like A through D as facts. And it's everything else in between that we discuss that make it so much greater. And even James Arnold Taylor is sitting there saying, like, I believe that this character that I voice loved her. It's like,
I think it's so cool, because I think that's why it keeps people engaged as well. Yeah. Because we don't have all the answers. If we did, it would be fun, but it keeps people talking. How many fucking years later are we still talking about this? And this came out, you know.
And everyone wanted it in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and we didn't get it. We talked about this, but like,
yes,
just some kind of nod to like the loss that Obi-Wan experienced.
Yeah, because in live action, she's never acknowledged.
Or Ahsoka. I mean, there's all kinds of things that aren't. No Cody.
There's a lot. Yeah, there was a lot missing. I'm very happy with what we got, but we did get a lot of feedback when we asked, like, what did people wish they had gotten in the Kenobi show? Yeah. We got a lot of interesting, and a lot of the same. Like, people really, really wanted, like I said, top 3. It was Ahsoka, Satine, and Cody. Like,
and that makes sense. They were all heavily involved in Obi-Wan's life in some phase that impacted him.
Yeah. I really do wish they had had a moment where Satine said something about Qui-Gon in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, because do we know for sure? We assume, probably rightfully so, that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon went to Mandalore for the Mandalorian Civil War when Obi-Wan met Satine, right?
I mean, the only reference is when he's getting on the elevator telling Anakin about it. He said, an extended mission to Mandalore. Master Qui-Gon and I had an extended mission to Mandalore. So that's like the only real confirmation that Qui-Gon was there, but I assume he was there.
And you know Satine would be as respectful towards Qui-Gon in his help and his influence and her safety during the Civil War.
Yeah.
She would ask. She would inquire. And she'd be heartbroken.
Spending a year under those circumstances, wouldn't you assume that she would have felt, even if he couldn't be attached to her, she was attached to him?
There's a lot of good stuff with those two that we don't know that I just love thinking about.
I know. I still, even like writing the fic, even then I still play with like alternate scenarios of I like what I wrote, but I also like could have written it a whole bunch of other ways because there's no exact answer to any of it. It's so sad.
Obitine, god damn it, Star Wars again.
You rat bastards. Well, okay, so we have to talk about the Lawless, which we did talk about a bit in our crying episode.
Yes. What would you like to talk about?
Like we said, I hate that episode. Like I love it, but I hate it.
Hate it and love it.
And part of it is watching like everything Satine has been working for her entire life.
Oh, it's just awful.
Torn down as revenge towards Obi-Wan. Like it didn't even have anything to do with her. Her life's work just flushed down the toilet because Maul wanted to hurt Obi-Wan. That is so tragic to me.
It's the height of, like, psychopathy. Like, it's just to wield that kind of pain and take some sort of pleasure in it. We're talking about someone's life work. Okay, so as Satine, I'm going to get kind of painful here. You're in your dying moments and you realize it was all for nothing and you lose the person you love and it's all to hurt him and you don't see what ends up happening because you die. That is some hard shit. And they put it in a kid's show. It's fucked up. But I'm here for it because that is some, I love it because it's very dark and I hate it because it's canon. It's like real. It happened. You know what I mean?
Yes. Same. On all of that.
And then on Obi-Wan's side, you watch your love's work go down the drain. Everything just blows up in your face as a joke to the man you thought you killed already, who killed your master. The whole thing is fucking painful.
Yeah.
And Maul is just the puppet wielder laughing at it. It's terrible and I hate Maul.
Yeah, so the very fact that Obi-Wan shows him mercy and compassion on his deathbed is really telling about the kind of man Obi-Wan is when you put it in this perspective, what you just said.
The growth you would have to go through. Because they all say that forgiveness is for the person, not who it's directed at.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so Obi-Wan would have to process that. That would be very hard.
It would, because how could you not feel even like a modicum of responsibility for everything? Like he knew from the beginning what Satine went through. Her father was assassinated, her whole planet at war. She had to rebuild it against against the opposition who hated her idea of pacifism, and she still tried to make a better life for everybody, really wanting everyone to have the chance to live in peace. Mm-hmm. And like you said, as a joke, throw that away. Yeah. How does that not affect Obi-Wan? Like, he would feel so guilty. I would feel guilty, even though...
Well, absolutely.
You would know it's not really your fault, but still, he's a compassionate person. It's just so fucking dark. And like you said, I love it, and I hate it so much.
Well, I mean, it's the kind of dark that makes it impactful. Yeah. And makes it... You love a character, because he would feel regret over what happened to Qui-Gon, and he couldn't stop it. He would have regret over what happened to Satine, and he watched it and couldn't stop it. He would have regret over what fucking happened with Anakin, and he couldn't stop it. Like, how many times?
Just forever and ever.
Yeah, it's really, he's just a really great character. And I know I said I never liked Satine's character, but I respect the hell out of her.
Yeah.
I really do. I respect anyone who fights for peace.
Or stands by their own principles without bending in the wind. You know? Yeah. How often does that fucking happen? It's never. I think it's easy to get frustrated with her because she's so stubborn. But if more people had her conviction,
yes,
maybe the world would be a better place.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe it doesn't come off in the way that is the most pleasant, but what reason does she have? She's fighting for something. So...
Yeah.
And she's bitter because she lost her man. And with a man like that, with hair like that, I would be a little angry too if he extended his hand. I'd slap it out of here with your hand, your hair, and that beard, and those eyes. Yeah. walking in here looking like that? Isn't there a Dolly Parton song? Why'd you come in here looking like that?
I love the idea of Dolly Parton song with. Oh my god, I love that so much.
All right, our question to our beloved listeners and fans. Did you first like Satine when she stepped on the scene? I don't know why I'm in such a song-like mood tonight.
So next week, our patrons have picked our episode again. I'm so excited to start talking about this.
It's finally happening, and thank you, patrons, for voting on this.
Yes,
because it's a good one.
It's time to start hyping the Andor show. So we are going to talk about the Andor trailer that dropped earlier this week.
I know, I'm really excited.
I am too.
I'm just sad they pushed it back, but
me too.
Good
but hopefully
things come to those who wait.
Yes, I was going to say hopefully it's to make it better.
Yes.
3 episodes coming out all at once. It's going to be
I don't know what they're doing. I can't handle this shit. I've got Lord of the Rings. I've got House of Dragons. And now I've got Andor. Whoa. I don't have time to breathe.
You're like a very busy woman.
I have things to do, folks. And none of them involve leaving my couch. I'm okay with it. I am, I swear.
Yeah, put your feet up. In last week's episode, we discussed a Star Wars fan favorite, droids. And we asked our listeners who or what was their favorite droid. Our friend Ben over on Instagram said, Echo disguised as a droid in the Bad Batch on Pandora, which I had totally forgotten about and I think is absolutely brilliant. That moment always makes me laugh whenever I rewatch the Bad Batch. Ben also says, but I always liked AP5 in Rebels with his banter with the other characters. Both excellent choices. You have wonderful taste, Ben.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. If you would like to support us, we appreciate it, and you can do so over on Patreon. You can pick our episodes and win fun things and so much more. And as always, you can follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoy our podcast, feel free to rate us on Spotify and Apple. And if you need just one place to find all of these, head on over to mostthingskenobi.com.
So, until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.